month of March is drawing to a close, and it's time for a change in scenery. The Cactus League is over, and it's time to trade the Arizona desert for the city by the bay. The Giants return to the corner of 3rd and King to begin their final tune-up of the spring. It's the Giants and the A's, and it's next. Spring training baseball continues, but we are not coming from the desert. We're at AT Park as we get ready for Giants baseball. This is the A's and the Giants. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dwayne Kuiper. Alongside me is Mike Krukow. Well, this is the time of the year where managers are starting to think about what is their roster going to look like. So on this Thursday night, Mike, the roster's all set, yes or no?
Well, the roster's not all set, so there's still some decisions that are out there that have to be made by the Giants. Tonight, the starting 9, they are going to get extended. Everybody on the field tonight is going to get at least 3 at-bats, and they're going to treat it like a regular game. Johnny Cueto, however, they don't want him to get in any long innings. If they do early, then he probably won't go past the 4th, maybe the 5th. But they're going to start approaching these games like it's a regular season game tonight and certainly tomorrow night as well.
All right, should be fun. It's exhibition baseball, but hey, we're at AT&T Park, and what is better than that? All right, stay tuned. We'll take you to our CSN Bay Area studios for an update, and we'll do that right after this.
hopefully you can hear a sigh of relief all across the Bay Area. Welcome back to our broadcast. I'm Amy Gutierrez, and your San Francisco Giants are kicking off a 3-game exhibition series against none other than the Oakland A's. It's going to be really fun to watch, and fans are going to get a chance to take a look at a couple of guys who are fighting for a roster spot. Two we have in mind you need to keep your eyes on: Aaron Hill, Chris Marrero. They both have a lot of service time, and should they make the roster, they could contribute greatly. I spoke with both of them, and they said similar things. They said right now it's about enjoying ourselves. We love this game. Why stress out? It doesn't help at all. So I'm going to have fun. I'm going to work hard, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. One thing for sure, if they don't make the opening day roster, you'll probably see both of them in the 2017 regular season. All right, it is time for Johnny Cueto's Shimmy Shake on the mound. Crook and Kite are going to be back after these messages with lineups and first pitch. Baseball, it's back in the Bay. It's awesome.
As we get ready for exhibition baseball, it'll be the Giants and the A's. This will be one of 3 games. 2 games we played here, and then the Saturday game will be played over on the Oakland side, and then the Giants will, after the game on Saturday, head to Arizona and open up on Sunday against the D-backs. So there's Johnny Cueto. He's going to take the hill, and we don't quite know how long Cueto's going to go, but you can be assured that it's not going to be that long.
Well, I think tonight it's going to be around 75 pitches. But again, if he gets into a 30-pitch inning, second or third inning, then they shut him down after 4. I mean, they just don't want to stress him out. Right now, it's all about, keeping your rhythm, keeping the feel of all your pitches. And, with Cueto, you kind of get jaded because he is such a good touch type of pitcher.
So the Giants take the field, led out by Johnny Cueto. And let's take a look at Bob Melvin's lineup. It'll look like this. The former Giant Raj Davis is going to lead it off, followed by Joyce and then Ryan Healy. Vogt will hit in the cleanup spot, then Lowry, Simeon, and Alonso. Mark Canha is the DH, and Jeff Decker is going to hit in the 9th spot.
On the hill tonight, Johnny Cueto. Take a look what he did last year, 18-5 with a 2.79 ERA. That's at 32 starts. A workhorse, eating up 219 and 2/3 innings. Joined the club late this year because of an illness to his father. He stayed in the Dominican for a while, and then he finally joined the club. Wound up having a very efficient spring training, and he's very close to 100 pitches. In fact, I think he came into camp being able to throw 100 pitches. When he's right, you're going to see a fastball that goes low to mid-90s. He can add and subtract with the best of them with two types of movement. He's got a changeup, cutter, slider. Not a whole lot he can't do with the ball. Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Cueto tonight. Starting in the Giants outfield from left to right. It'll be Marrero, Span, Pence. Crawford, Nunez on the left side. Panic and Belt on the right side of the infield. Buster Posey, he'll be in the squad, putting down the sides. Giants come into this one 17-16 for their spring training record with 3 games remaining.
Very streaky this spring. Here's Cueto, and the first pitch of the ball game is on its way, and Davis takes a called strike. So we get started a little early. It is a chilly night. 58 degrees, and Raj Davis bounces this one slowly. Crawford charging. Crawford has it. Crawford throws, and that's how this game gets started. Davis came into that at bat hitting just under 300 this spring with a home run and a couple of RBIs. And here's Matt Joyce, one of the free agent off-season signees by the Oakland A's. Matt Joyce, good left-handed hitter. The first pitch is high. First home plate umpire is Brian Knight. Then around the bases, and they'll rotate. It'll be Miller, Shewwater, and Woodring.
I think if you ask the umpires, they wouldn't mind rotating in a regular game.
Yeah, you're probably right. And that pitch is high to Matt Joyce. A couple of home runs this spring. 6 runs batted in. And this is on the ground to Belt. Belt will throw to Cueto covering with 2 ground balls and 2 outs, and that'll bring up the young Ryan Healy.
Well, if you're ever going to work that play right, it's going to be coming out of spring training where you take PFPs and work this play about literally, I'd say 250 to 300 times. Perfect throw right to the chest above the belt. Easy handling from Cueto, who's very athletic. He can make a bad throw look good.
I mean, for someone else other than Belt, it may have been an easier play for Panic, but Belt throws so well. It's not a routine play, but for him, it looks like it is. There's a strike to Healy. This is a good story for the A's. Young player with power, 5 home runs this spring, 16 runs batted in. And a quick pitch, and it's 0-2.
It's all about upsetting the timing of a hitter, and for Johnny Cueto, he does it so many different ways, and a lot of it is just ad lib on the fly.
A 1-2.
That's strike 3. Brian Knight, plate umpire. He's a low ball umpire. I mean, this is normally right in his strike zone. Hey, I know it's spring training for umpires too.
Foul at the plate.
Now, if this was a regular season, Bruce Bochy would be losing his mind on that 0-2 pitch.
There's like a furrowed brow between those eyebrows. It's a little deeper.
I think he's working on his stank eye.
He's got one too. In the dirt, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
But you know what, in the mind of a manager and a pitching coach, if an umpire misses a call, it's extra pitches that pitcher has to throw because the pitch count is so important. it kind of grinds on a manager and a pitching coach.
Look out.
Miss everybody? Did I miss everybody? Good.
I think a manager and a pitching coach, I think they're a little more forgiving if there's an error made behind than if an umpire misses a call.
And it's now 3-2. Payoff pitch, here it is to Ryan Healy, and a base hit.
So with 2 strikes, time to shorten up, go back up the middle. And really, it's not a bad way to approach hitting Johnny Cueto in any count, simply because there's so many different things he can do to upset your timing as a hitter.
So here's Stephen Vogt. Vogt, good hitter. He doesn't have a home run this spring. He's hitting .279 with 8 RBIs, and there's a called strike. Mike mentioned both teams 1 game over 500 here this spring. And this is to Crawford. Crawford will go the long way, and that'll end the inning. So Cueto allows the hit, and it's Span, Belt, and Pence coming up. Time for the Giants to face Sean Manaea, and it'll be this lineup for Bruce Bochy. It'll be Span, Belt, and Pence. Buster Posey in the cleanup spot, and then it's Crawford. Chris Marrero, who's still got a really good shot of making this 25-man roster. He is going to hit 6th, and it's Nunez, Panic, and no DH for the Giants. It'll be Johnny Cueto hitting 9th.
On the hill tonight for the A's will be the left-hander Sean Manaea. Manaea is 6'5", 245 pounds. He's a big fella. This is what he did last year in 24 starts. 7-9 with a 3.86 ERA. And look at the strikeouts against the walks. He's a strike thrower. You'll see a fastball that goes low to mid-90s. He's got 2 types of movement with it and a really great changeup. It's his best specialty pitch. Breaking ball kind of slurvy, but for the most part, he's going to get you out with fastballs and changeups. Let's take a look at the A's defensively, starting in their outfield from left to right. Going to be Decker, Davis, and Joyce. That's your outfield. Simeon and Healy on the left side. Lowry, Alonso on the right side. Stephen Vogt behind the plate. He'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Here's Span, and the first pitch to Span is a called strike. Span off to a slow start during the spring, which is not unusual, and he's really picked it up as of late. Hitting .296 with a couple of home runs and 6 runs batted in. And here he fouls this one off of Vogt, and it's now 0-2. Vogt's going, come on, this game doesn't even count.
That's exactly what he said.
I got a purple toe in a game that doesn't count.
Well, baseball doesn't know if it's an exhibition game or a real game. Let's see where it hits him.
Well, maybe not in the toe.
Yeah, that's worse than
Maybe
the toe.
wishing he had been hit in the toe. But nevertheless, shouldn't happen in a game that doesn't count.
Well, not 2 pitches into the game.
No. And it's up and in. It's 1-2. Belt to follow, and then Pence. Outfield pretty much straight away. Maybe shading Span to pull to the opposite field, and this is driven into center field. On the move is Davis. Still on the move, and Davis up against the wall makes the catch. So Span gives it a ride, and this ballpark is probably not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's got a good swing going though. He's been putting together a lot of good swings here in the last week. Just a little minor adjustment. Not so worried about a flat swing. He's got a little bit of a lift now. It has strengthened up both hands, and the ball is definitely coming off of the bat a whole lot different now than it was early in spring.
Here's Belt, and Belt takes wide. Belt with 3 home runs this spring, 8 RBIs. Overshift is on, and a high fly ball to left. This is Decker. He is in front of the wall, and he makes the catch. So a couple of long outs that produce nothing more than a few oohs and ahs from the crowd, and that'll bring up Pence.
Well, if they're in Scottsdale, it's 2-0. But everybody knows the deal here. This is a great place to pitch. Cool night. Just not a lot of carry from gap to gap. If you're going to go out of this ballpark, you usually have to go down the lines on both sides.
So here's Hunter Pence. Pence takes a strike.
Watched Hunter Pence today in batting practice do something we've never seen before. Took 2 whole rounds where he did nothing but hit the ball to right field.
Well, he's looking a lot better at the plate. I mean, his numbers don't show it, but in spring training, that's the beauty of spring training. It doesn't count. You still have some time to get some at bats to find your stroke. Not many at bats, but a few.
I mean, you can get your swing in one at bat. I mean, you could find it. He's been flirting with it for about the last week. Cy Hensley Newlands, the Giants hitting instructor, standing next to Bruce Bochy.
Out of play.
And the one thing that they've been trying to do with Pence is to get him to keep that front shoulder in, which allows him to have a position of strength covering the outside part of the strike zone, or even off the plate away. When he's on, he'll light that part of the plate up.
Pence, a slow tapper back to the mound, and that's going to end the inning. A couple of long fly balls, but nothing on the board. Second inning coming up.
Spend Easter Sunday. Enjoy Easter with the Giants. Your ticket includes a VIP pregame brunch in Triples Alley, lower box ticket, and a C's Easter's treasure egg. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Go to sfgiants.com/Easter.
So here's Cueto, and the first pitch is a base hit into right field off the bat of Jed Lowry. Second hit off of Cueto, and that'll bring up Marcus Semien. Semien had 15 runs batted in the Cactus League, a couple of home runs. He's a really good player. He's got power, he can run. He's cleaned up his defense. And a check swing foul, and it's no balls and one strike. On deck is Yonder Alonso. Cueto at the belt. Span with lots of room. One out. And here's Alonso. Alonso's 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, hitting .375.
Had a good spring. Short arm swinger, very quick middle in. Tough guy to jam.
On the ground, foul.
I mean, you see a guy get in the batter's box, and you figure if he's going to buy a long sleeve shirt, it's going to have a 30-inch sleeve. Don't try and pitch him in.
That's a fact.
He's built for the inside pitch.
Plus he opens up, inviting it. Belt knocks it down.
Cueto had a little bit of a stumble there. Hit Lowry somewhere.
Well, maybe Belt didn't knock it down. Maybe Lowry knocked it down.
Let's take a look and see where. Yeah,
right in the ribs, maybe.
You're not expecting that. I know that's happened to you on the base pass. It's got to be a shock because you're not braced for it at all.
No, you got a guy that could win a Gold Glove at first. You got a guy with perfect control on the mound.
Yeah.
And you're going to get hit in the ribs.
You're thinking he did it on purpose?
What is going on?
I mean, if you're in the batter's box, at least you can tense up a little bit. On the base pass, you're just not expected to get drilled. Ooh. Johnny Cueto shaking his head a little bit. Thinking, I hope I don't get this guy in my second start in Arizona.
Let's leave him here.
Well, he is a hitter's umpire. It's a tight zone. You don't get many corners. You just don't ever see him really stretch the strike zone.
I thought they got rid of those guys in the offseason. 2 balls and a strike. And there's a strike to even it up at 2-2.
Well, Alonso's, he's doing the smart thing. If the guy's not going to call a strike on me, I'm just going to take.
And a pop-up. And it's right on the middle of the diamond. And Belt calls off Cueto. If Belt lets Cueto call that and catch it, then Belt gets in trouble.
Yeah, you're taught it's an easier play for a cornering fielder to come to the middle of the diamond and get an angle on it. Those pitchers don't do a whole lot of time taking pop-up practice.
I got it. You know what? I think that was a decoy from the get-go.
Not sure what that was.
Here's Mark Canha, the designated hitter. And he takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Canna 216. No home runs. 3 runs batted in. Canna is just not letting Cueto get in there. It's now 0-2. It's hard to hit that ball fair.
I think if you swing at that pitch, you got to be happy you don't knock it off your shin bone.
I think you're right. So Lowry, who opened up the inning with a base hit, and that's low. It's 1-2.
Giants breaking out their new lights here in the stadium today.
Yeah, that's true.
And boy, you have a lot more light in the outfield. Beautiful.
Outside 2-2.
Before, you used to have shadows out in the gaps in left center and right center, but not anymore. Tried to cut that movement, bring it off the plate in and nibble on that inside corner. Did not miss by much. Trying to X that inside corner, just a bit inside.
Lowry will take off. It's 3-2. And this is hit to left for Marrero. And Marrero is going to make the running catch, and that'll end the inning. No runs, a hit, 1 left. Buster Posey is going to lead things off for the Giants. Here it's 0-0. Things off here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. John Manaea had a couple of fly balls and a comebacker. And here Posey takes the pitch low and in for Buster this spring. .333, a home run, 3 runs batted in. He did hit 2 home runs while he was playing for the United States team. And he rolls this one foul. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Good changeup from Manaea. I mean, his changeup's the kind of changeup that you could throw 3 or 4 times in a row. Not a problem. The guy's still going to be on his front foot.
And a strike. 1-2. Crawford on deck. And then Marrero. Buster takes low. 2-2.
Down the dirt by design. Good 1-2 pitch.
Tapped to short for Simeon. And let's check in with Amy G. Amy.
All right, gentlemen, we have a guest, Mark Melanson, the Giants closer. Thanks for joining us. And let's just share with the fans, if you would, kind of what it was like for you to come into this organization. You know, even though you've got some service time, it's probably always a little bit nervous to meet the new group of guys.
Well, this is my 6th team, so I feel like I'm a pro at moving teams. But being on the other side, I've always just admired how this organization goes about, you know, obviously the winning side of it, but just kind of the way they carry themselves. So I was really looking forward to getting over here and getting a taste of that.
You were very revered and by several of the bullpen members, Derek Law in particular, and he told a funny story when we were at FanFest, and I was wondering if you might share your version of it. His was just that he texted you when the Giants signed you, and he didn't hear from you for a little while, and he got a little nervous, but then you kind of one-upped him. You didn't text him back, did you?
Well, I think I was outside mowing the lawn or something, and I listened to my voicemail probably 45 minutes after, you know, I got a call that I didn't recognize, and it was Derek Law. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I've seen this guy pitch, and, you know, I think the world of his stuff, and so this is cool. He's welcoming, you know, and so I called him back. He's like, man, I didn't know if you call me back. You know, I could tell that he was nervous, but I was like, dude, this is great, man. Thanks for calling, and looking forward to seeing you in spring training.
He was really excited to get a Mark Melanson phone call, not a text, a phone call. With that said, as you said, you've been on several teams, and you've been on the other side playing against the Giants here at AT Park. What does it mean to you to be in black and orange, and these fans are now cheering for you?
Yeah, I'm just thankful I'm not on the other side, because going down to the bullpen and hearing people yell at you when you're 2 feet away from them. But just the history of this organization, and such recent history, the core group of guys, you got Boch at the helm, Gold Glovers all the way up the middle, so it's cool, yeah.
Well, the fans, we are really looking forward to having you here. Welcome to San Francisco, Mark Melanson, Dwayne, and Mike.
All right, Amy, yeah, he's going to be a good ad, that's for sure. Looks like he fits right in. And Marrero breaks his bat. And this is just going to reach the seats, and it's no balls and 1 strike.
Well, Marrero has been the talk of camp. Started hot, has stayed hot, and it's just how he's hit his home runs. He's got 8 on the year. They don't always put the 1 home run he hit against Team Puerto Rico in the stats, but he's had a bunch of late inning home runs. And not only that, it's where he's hit them. Center field, right center. Got great power. Former first-round pick with the Nationals. You know, he's got a pedigree in this game. And talking about his progress this spring with Steve Decker, one of the Giants pitching coach or hitting coaches, and he just said, you know, sometimes guys, they kind of put together things late. He goes, look at Justin Turner with the Dodgers, how his career's gone. He says, you know, we're all hoping that it happens with Marrero, but he has done everything that he possibly could do to make this club.
One ball and 1 strike. That's high, deep, and foul. Well, you know what? He almost did it right on cue for you.
Well, and that's exactly where Manea wanted to throw this. They set the target inside, and he just goes down there and yanks and starts to measure. And how foul was it? Not very much.
Put on a show in BP today. One and 2. And he got him. So Manaya ends up with a couple of strikeouts. 0-0.
area is brought to you by AAA. Get an auto or home quote and get a free tech-friendly cargo bag. Go to AAA.com/protect or visit a AAA branch for details. Certain restrictions apply.
No score, third inning here at AT&T Park. Is Johnny Cueto facing Jeff Decker, and then Raj Davis, and then Matt Joyce. A's with a couple of hits. The Giants have not had a base runner. Swing and a miss. No balls and 1 strike. Decker hitting .310 this spring with 3 runs batted in. Some guys can pull that beard off. Decker can.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. On the ground, fouled. A little advice for Jeff Decker. Do it when you're young, because when you get a little older, it's a little grayer.
Yep.
A little grayer. 1 and 2. Up the middle, but right at Crawford. Crawford gets a bit of a tricky hop on the belt. 1 out. Well, the Giants are home on Easter, so join us at the ballpark on the 16th of April as the Giants take on the Rockies. The first 5,000 kids, 14 and under. They're going to receive a Brandon Crawford backpack, and it's courtesy of Toyota. Visit sfgiants.com for tickets. Who wouldn't want a Crawford backpack? Come on. There's a bunt. Foul.
Yeah, backpacks are cool. I always thought that was really a good giveaway, like end of August when they head back to school.
Yeah.
It's not the first time she had that hat on.
And a base hit over panic for Raj Davis.
Well, great news, Giants fans. Starting on opening day, you'll be able to stream every CSN broadcast on your desktop or mobile device. Giants game streamed on the go, and it's on the go on the NBC Sports app or csnbayarea.com. Check it out.
Matt Joyce bounced out to Belt. Cueto hasn't walked anybody, and he has not had a strikeout. High. 1 ball and no strikes.
Saw Cueto fly that front shoulder a little bit, got underneath that, had a little push to his delivery. And I think that's one of the things that really impressed us last year in watching him work, is if he did throw a pitch and he got underneath it, he could correct it within a pitch usually. He's very responsive to his arm when it falls out of the slot he wants it to be in. And the other thing too about Cueto, I mean, he can come at you from 3 or 4 different arm angles, 3 or 4 different deliveries.
And the 1-0 is a strike on the inside corner.
He's unique in a lot of ways. And like I said, a lot of what he does, he just ad-libs it. It's just how he's feeling. Really is one of the best, I think, in the business at reading hitters, their swing types.
Quick toss. Ooh. Well, he's got a great pickoff move.
Ron Wotus. Take a look at that. They thought they may have a chance of getting. Either that or he's ordering a pizza.
Out of play down the left field line, 1 and 2. Yeah, Everybody has to speed things up this year.
All right, here's the replay. Rajai Davis going to that far corner on the bag towards right field. That's as far away from the first baseman as he could get, and I think it saved him. Well, this year, managers, they've got to be a little bit quicker. They've got 30 seconds in order to declare that they want to have a replay. And then when the umpires go to replay and they put the headset on their ears, they've got 2 minutes in New York to get the play back to them. Last year, on average, it was a little over a minute 30 seconds that replays would be seen.
Marrero makes the catch.
The rule changes. 30-second limit for a manager to decide whether he wants to challenge, and the manager, once he's exhausted all his challenges, then crew chiefs may now invoke review for the non-home run call beginning in the 8th inning as opposed to the 7th inning. That's a big difference. And then the conditional 2-minute guideline for replay officials back in New York to review the play. All with the idea to just keep the game going. And there really weren't that many times that it went over 2 minutes. But there were some last year that actually went into the 4-minute.
Right.
I think we had a couple of them.
Curveball. No balls and 1 strike.
And that's the other thing, too. Where there is a 2-minute limit, it is also subject to one of the officials back in New York saying, well, he needs some more time. So it can run over.
Raj Davis with his lead. Got him. So in the end, Cueto picks Davis off anyway.
One of the best moves in the game. Bell with a quick tag on the elbow, and Davis is gone.
No score.
Bay Area is brought to you by the Bay Area Chevy dealers.
No score. Bottom of the 3rd inning. And it'll be Eduardo Nunez to hit first. Nunez was having some shoulder problems. Very important that he get on the field defensively these last 3 games. It may just be tonight and tomorrow night, but he needed to show Bruce Bochy that he was ready to go, or will be ready to go on Sunday. We watched his batting practice We were talking about Marrero and Hunter Pence, and Nunez also was going to right field a lot. Taps this one to third. It'll be Healy. Here's the pickoff play that ended the top of the inning.
Watch, the lead shoulder had a little bit of a leak towards second base, and that's all it took. And for Johnny Cueto, an absolute perfect strike right into the momentum of the arm swing of Brandon Belt, who slaps a tag on. Ow, see ya. Have some pine, me.
Joe Panic in the ace slot. And he takes a pitch high. 1 ball and no strikes.
It's one of the most embarrassing plays in the game.
What, getting picked off?
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Although if you're going to get picked off at first base, it's easier if your team's dugout's on the first base side. If you got to walk all the way to the third base side, it's rough.
And also have it in the inning where you don't have to go into the dugout. That'll end the inning on a ground ball to first. See, some tips out there for you youngsters. Get picked off. No, that will not end the inning. But yeah, get picked off with 2 outs. That's the best way to do it. Here's Cueto.
8 up, 8 down for Manaea. He has been in total control. Has not been in a stretch one time this game. Johnny Cueto, a career 108 hitter, but always seems he gives you a pretty good at bat.
He's entertaining no matter what part of the game you're talking about. And right now he's got some B's in that right hand.
Yeah.
I hope that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. Dave Greshner coming out, and I think he's going to confirm that he's got B's in his hands.
I hit it right off the end of the bat. It's a cool night. First pitch. 58 degrees.
Kind of what happened in Peoria today with the Padres game. Padres Rockies. They had a bunch of bees, literally a bunch of bees swarm the field.
Different bees than what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, these are the imaginary bees that you feel in your hand when it's stinging because you hit a ball off the end of the bat or it got jammed.
You know what? It's really not much to worry about if you're Cueto. It's just his pitching hand.
You know, if it's 2 outs and he ends the inning here and he's got to go back out, it will definitely affect his pitches.
Oh, goodness.
He may not swing the bat again.
May not. There you go. There's your answer.
Yep.
Nothing in 2. Just got him, and that'll end the inning. Johnny Cueto, says Uncle. Here in the 4th inning, it'll be the A's coming up. Ryan Healy will lead things off, a 0-0 ball game. Cueto has allowed 3 singles. Healy, Vogt, and Lowry on a cool night here at the corner of 3rd and King. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, this place. We feel the same way now we felt back in 2000 when we walked into it for the first time.
Healy with a base hit in the 1st. And the first pitch is high. 1 ball and no strikes. Two and 0. We know that the Giants will open up back in the desert on Sunday. The A's will open up the following day. It'll be a night game as they will host the Angels. So that's opening night for them. 3-1 as that ball got away from Cueto. Giants play 4 against the D-backs, and the A's play 4 against the Angels. Three and 2.
Nice little 3-1 cutter. Anything at any time. Absolutely fearless.
Tap foul on the 3-2 pitch. It's odd when you look from our level and the angle that we have at the out-of-town scoreboard. There is none.
There is no out-of-town scoreboard.
And that really means that these games don't count.
Either that or it's the 7th game of the World Series.
This little pop-up is going to be out of play.
Well, I mean, this is a little gray area between spring training and the regular season. For the most part, you know, you go about your spring training business down at your camp. I mean, for the Giants, it's in Scottsdale. But then as you get close, you come up here in the last 3 games, a series with the A's, which has become a traditional series. But you're not thinking about this game. You're thinking about opening day. You're that close to the bell ringer.
Foul.
And that's the gray area of spring training. When your mind leaves where you're at and you're thinking about 3 games ahead. Everybody's done their homework. Everybody's in shape. And everybody's wondering how they're going to start the season. Are they going to get off to a hot start? Are they going to take a good swing into the season?
Got him. All right, let's check in with Amy G.
All right, gentlemen, Brandon Belt told a funny story before tonight's game. He said he walked into AT Park this afternoon, and in front of him was Santiago Casilla, and he didn't even think about saying hi because he said, you know, it was normal for him to walk behind him, come into a game, and then he'd talk to him when they got into the clubhouse, and then he had that moment. He said, that's right, he's on the other team. So he stopped him in the hallway to tell him how much he missed him. He told us what a great teammate Casilla always was. Brandon Belt played his entire career with Santiago Casilla, who's now, of course, with the Oakland A's and is very missed by this Giants club, guys.
And very well received, I might add. When Santiago Casilla came around the batting cage, as Vogt hits this one into the water, close into the water, hit the B of A sign. But he was getting hugs all over the place, as you would expect.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great Giant. I mean, he had everything to do with the Giants' 3 championships. But more than that, I mean, he's just a good teammate, solid citizen in the clubhouse, good family man. You go through seasons like he went through as a Giant. I mean, you don't forget the guys you went through those seasons with. You just don't. Nor will you ever. It's the beauty of winning.
Vote foul into the club level. It's 1-2. The young lady on the right, I think she took one for the team. I mean, those two guys let that happen?
Well, yeah, she's got 2 layers of protection. I think she took that seat so she would get protected. I don't know.
Come on.
These guys, they got to make a better effort.
Killing me. And a little flip job, and Marrero's going to come in, and he'll make the catch. Two outs for Lowry. Yeah, that's right. That's what we said. We're not backing off either.
No, they got to make a play.
Well, 1-0 to Lowry. Lowry single between Belt and Panic to lead off the second. And suppose he hangs on. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Nice two-seam movement running away from the left-hander hitting Lowry.
High and foul down the left field line and out of play. No score. 4th inning.
Hey, look who got it. A little thing like a baseball will light up a crowd.
Off of Panic's glove into right field. So Lowry's 2 for 2. So it looks like it's ladies' night here at the yard, huh?
Oh yeah, everybody having fun. It's fun walking around the ballpark today. Everybody was pumped up. Giants come back into town. Tomorrow the Giants will have the play ball luncheon and then come over and take a little BP, get ready for tomorrow night's game here, and then the finale of the season will be Saturday in Oakland. And then it's hop on a plane, head for Arizona, and get ready for Sunday's opener.
A bunt. Posey out quickly, spins, throws, got him. And that'll end the inning. Buster Posey showing why he won a Gold Glove last year.
Well, that's the play that's running away from you. And it's just a spin and a quick release, perfect strike, and we still have a scoreless game.
SN Bay Area is brought to you by Lenardi's Markets. For a location near you, visit lenardis.com or find us on Facebook. Lenardi's, quite simply the best.
0-0 as we head to the bottom of the fourth. Sean Manaea has been perfect. He's not allowed a base runner. He's had a couple of strikeouts, Crawford and Marrero. Span hit a ball to the wall in center field to open up the bottom of the first. That was caught by Raj Davis. Here he takes a strike. We talked about the play ball luncheon. And I mean, play ball luncheon goes back to when you and I were players. And we always thought it was a little humorous that it was absolutely mandatory to go unless your name was Jack Clark.
Yeah, he never seemed to get the message.
No, it was like Jack was like, well, no, I'm busy.
He'd go to Frank Robinson and say, what's the fine going to be?
Just write him a check. Span bounces out. And here's Belt. But I will say this, over the years, and I think it really did start with Al Rosen, it really was mandatory. And I can't think of more than a handful of players over the last 20 years that haven't shown up.
Yeah, unless there was a illness in the family or some real reason not to be there, just to not go because you didn't want to miss daytime television.
Yeah, plus you figure all those years that Barry Bonds was going to those. If he went, everybody else was going to go.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a fun lunch too. I mean, it'll probably be about 1,200 in attendance tomorrow. A lot of Giants fans, a lot of life. Get a chance to see and meet a lot of the junior Giants, which is a big day.
And that's what it benefits. Belt, a soft one hopper to Lowry, and that's going to be out number 2.
And the Belt getting used to hitting in the 2 spot in the lineup. We'll be doing that this year.
If you're going to take walks, then I think the Giants would rather have Belt take a walk hitting second than hitting 5th or 6th. And Belt, look, he takes walks. I mean, that's just the way he is as a hitter. That's with a swing and a miss, no balls and 1 strike.
Well, his on-base percentage, I mean, that's another reason. Put him in that 2 spot. Last year, his on-base percentage was .394. I mean, that's you're up there around 400% of the time, or 40% of the time getting on base. I mean, that's doing it.
A 1 hopper, 1 and 2.
I mean, you're always going to be amongst the league leaders when you're getting on base 4 out of 10 times.
Belt playable for Raj Davis, and that'll end the inning. So another 1-2-3 inning for Sean Manaea. We'll head to inning number 5. It remains 0-0.
Media is brought to you by Moskowitz LLP. Aggressive, accessible, experienced tax lawyers. Call Moskowitz LLP at 888-TAX-DEAL.
0-0. Top of the 5th. Alonso, Canna, Decker facing Johnny Cueto. Cueto's thrown 62 pitches, of which 44 of those 62 have been strikes. And Alonso is going to open up the 5th inning with a base hit.
Nice opposite field approach. He'll be happy about that swing. And let's take a look at that hack. Get that foot down early. Let the ball get deep. Just send it opposite field gap. Doing that, you're feeling good about your swing.
Canna hit a fly ball to left. First pitch strike, and it's 0-1. Jeff Decker on deck. Hayes with the right-hander up in the bullpen. And that runs inside for a ball.
John Axford.
The John Axford.
With the high over the top release.
Tight, 2 balls and 1 strike. One thing about the A's, ever since I've noticed the A's, even as a kid, white shoes. And that was unique because they were the only team. Now, you see a lot of people with white shoes. Swinging a foul back. On the move was Alonso.
Well, when I was a freshman at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, I mean, our Cal Poly's colors are green and gold. Augie Garrido was our head coach, and I mean, he was kind of a style master just off the field. Good dresser, right? Well, our uniforms were very cool. They're just like the A's, with white shoes, green stirrups, yellow socks, and we thought we were the coolest guys on the planet.
Of course.
Plus, you felt faster with white shoes.
Of course, absolutely. Well, we had them at SIU, where I went to college. And then all of a sudden, played the Oakland A's, and they got white shoes. Umpires always say that those were the hardest calls to make. Base runners hitting bases with white shoes. There's Decker, who rolled out to Crawford in the 3rd.
You guys were cutting edge at SIU.
Yeah, good shorts.
And yet you wore helmets everywhere.
We wore helmets.
The flapless helmets on the field. I mean, defensively, offensively.
Couldn't figure out why after a really long game my neck hurt. Now I know. That 10-pound helmet. And Guerrero coming in, and he makes the catch. Briefly, it looked like he may have trapped it, but the umpire's got a good look at it, and he puts it away for out number 2.
Well, Bruce Bochy wanted to see him out in left field. Wanted to see what kind of range he had. Could he come in on a ball? And he's passed every test. And it's a good one right here, because that ball is caught, and I mean, it is about, well, maybe 3 or 4 inches above the ground. That's a nice play.
So here's Raj Davis. Davis with a healthy rip.
Yeah, that's not your typical leadoff hitter's hack right there.
Hard to imagine a more exciting home run hit in the 7th game of a World Series than the one that Raj Davis hit.
To tie the score with the Cubs.
Against.
Amazing.
Driven to left and hit well. This one is off the bottom of the wall. And getting to third is Alonso. The throw goes to second, where Belt was backing up. And that'll put runners at second and third. This is the home run. I mean, think about this. Who's going to hit this guy, right?
He choked up the bat about 4 inches. And one thing about Chapman, I mean, you can't go up there thinking about anything but a fastball. And they went back and looked, and that's all he was throwing. Not just this game, but the 4 or 5 games going into this game. So Rajay Davis looking for a fastball down and in. He yanks it out and lifts that crowd up. And you're right. I mean, it was an amazing postseason.
And then it rained.
And then it rained.
So here's Matt Joyce, 0 for 2. And tight, 1 ball and no strike.
Good pitch. Another one Johnny Cueto wanted, did not get.
Two 2-0. Ryan Healy is in the on-deck circle. And a strike. Well, probably not a bad thing for Cueto to be put in this spot to get a big out before he makes his next start, which will be on Tuesday. Tapped back to Cueto. Side retired. Marrero with a nice play here in the 5th inning as he takes a hit away from Jeff Decker. Giants need a hit, a base runner. Nothing.
Opening week, April 10th through the 16th, is filled with amazing giveaways and promotions. Post-game fireworks on Orange Friday, April 14th. Johnny Cueto Shimmy Bobble Body, Saturday, April 15th, presented by Chevron Extra Mile. And Brandon Crawford Kids Backpack on Sunday the 16th, presented by Toyota. Go to sfgiants.com/promotions and check it out.
So here's John Axford. Axford facing Buster Posey. And a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Buster bounced out to Marcus Semien to open up the 2nd inning.
John Axford, this is what he did this spring in 7 games. 14 base runners allowed in 6 2/3.
Buster Posey, a high chopper. It'll be Lowry, Simeon, double clutch in the throw, and they got him.
For Axford to have those kind of numbers, not really that surprising. Usually hard throwers don't get their velocity till the end of spring, and he is a hard thrower. High three-quarter release. Axford, tall guy, 6'5", 220-pounder. He's in his 7th year at the big league level. He's 34 years of age. Goes hard, always has. Big over-the-top curveball. Giants have activity in their bullpen. Corey Guerin.
Crawford with a swing and a miss. Crawford struck out in the second. I didn't recognize him. I was standing next to Dave Greshner, and I said, "Who's that covering first?" Doing the pitchers covering first on a ground ball to first. And it was Corey Guerin with a haircut.
Well, he knocked about 6 inches of length off.
I know. Crawford with a little pop-up that Healy might have a beat on. He does. 2 down. On April 2nd, CSN becomes NBC Sports Bay Area, powered by Xfinity. And there's a little note here that says, for you broadcasters, you can throw those jackets away and those shirts, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
Like the one you have on right now, and the one I have on right now, and the 15 we have in our closet here in the back.
Yeah, they're all going by the wayside.
I think we should send them to Chicago. I don't think they're changing. There's a call strike.
I think they'd appreciate all these jackets and shirts with mustard ketchup stains on them.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen DeShays and Casper's shirts and jackets?
Yeah.
They're worse than ours. Driven to right, down the right field line, and that's a fair ball. Marrero digging for 2, and he's going to make it. First hit of the game for the Giants.
Well, as we've seen him do so many times this spring, he's gone the opposite side of the field. Ball was up out over the plate and just simply did what he has done all spring. He's gone with the location and he's allowed the ball to travel deep. And you're going to hear this a lot when you describe this guy's approach. He's so strong that he doesn't have to beat you on his pull side to left field. I mean, he could go the opposite way and still take the ball to the ballpark.
There's Nunez, who rolled out to third. Pitch is high, 1 ball and no strikes. Bottom of the 5th. First base runner for the Giants. Joe Panik on deck. No score. Foul down the right field line. 1 ball and 1 strike. Heads up.
Yeah, if I'd have brought my glove, I'd have made the play.
I haven't seen any gloves.
That'd have been
for this exhibition game.
It's Clyde Frelick, our ball dude at first base tonight.
Nice play by Vogt. 2 balls and 1 strike. This is a glove-friendly ballpark.
And even that glove, Gary Frelick, our ball dude, that glove is older than he is.
And then that's an old glove.
That's an old glove.
Two and two to Nunez. This one squirts away from Vogt. And Marrero to third.
Always painful for a catcher to have a ball get by with a runner on base, but not as painful with 2 outs. Curveball in the dirt, straight downer, that top, over the top release of Axford. Would have been more painful had it been 1 out or no outs.
Agreed. Hit off the end of the bat to Simeon, and that'll retire the side. Giants strand Marrero through 5. It is 0-0. Monday at the ballpark as the Giants take on the Rockies, and it's also a special Easter ticket offer, and it includes 2 tickets for only $60 and a See's Candy treasure egg. Visit sfgiants.com/Easter for more information on how to purchase. Come out to the ballpark on Easter. Corey Guerin, the new pitcher. No score. Guerin will be facing Ryan Healy, Stephen Vogt, and then Jed Lowry. And the pitch to Healy is way outside for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Swing.
Breaking ball. Take a look at Corey Guerin's numbers. Spring train, 9 strikeouts against 1 walk in 8 innings. Those are the highlights. At times he got hit a bit is when he was up, and that was early in spring. Guerin turned 31 April 14th. 4-year veteran.
Crawford gives ground, and Belt can't dig it, and it goes into the dugout. So that ball flattened out on Belt. It'll be an error on Crawford.
Look, took him back to kind of get some balance on the throw. Then he had to throw flat-footed, and the ball skims on Brandon Belt. He couldn't come up with it.
It looked like it hit right at the cut.
Flattened out, like you said.
Vogt is bounced out, and he hit a soft line drive to left that was caught. So Parker in left, Guerin on the hill. Parker will hit in the 9th spot, and there's a pitch down low. 1 ball and no strikes.
I think Vogt's got a pretty good swing going right now. I think he's one of those guys who can't wait for the regular season to start.
You're right.
I used to always love Rich Aurelia when he had a hot spring, especially late. He was miserable because he thought he was wasting hits in spring training. But I think a lot of guys feel that way.
Well, I think Richie was a better player miserable.
I do too.
I mean, the happy-go-lucky Richie was, all right, what's wrong?
Yeah. 1 for 24.
Buka to Ofer. 2 balls and no strikes. Swinging a high pop-up foul down the left field line and out of play.
Rich Aurelia and JT Snow used to go into Coors Field and they would light it up. It was 3 or 4 hits every game.
Light it up.
So one off day, we all went out to dinner to Buca de Beppo, which is a great place. There was like 10 of us there, and we had a great meal.
Yeah, remember we were all going out, and they were walking through the lobby, and it was like, yeah, come along, and they did.
And the next day, they both went collectively 0 for 10. So they said, we're never going to eat there again before a game. We're calling it Buca de Ofer.
Little tapper. Crawford's going to barehand it and throw, and a nice play to get Vogt. And on the play, Healy goes to third.
That was anything but easy. Now, if you're an infielder, you're coming into this. At what point do you decide it's got to be a barehanded play?
Well, you're thinking, am I going to make another error? And then you're going, well, I just got to go for it. And you're right. You have to make a decision. And it helps if you get a high bouncing ball because you can read it just a little better. Now the Giants will pull the infield in with Lowry at the plate. No score. With Healy at third. And a strike, and it's 0-1. Buca de Ofer. Hey, every time we see a Buca de Beppo's, wherever it is around the country, we usually look at each other and just laugh.
Well, it's the first thing we think about.
Foul back. The other Buca de Beppo story is when Lee Hammer was with us, and he asked for the spaghetti. If you know the menu at Buca de Beppo's, that means it's spaghetti for 10. But he asked it for himself with 2 bowling ball size of meatballs.
And that's not an exaggeration. They were 16-pound shots, and he was not sharing. He ate that spaghetti with the 2 giant meatballs like he was going to the electric chair the next day.
Big strikeout for Guerin.
Lee Hammer, who's the program director with KNBR, the Giants' flagship radio station.
And then he didn't pay.
And then he, poor tip.
Butley. Everybody played but Lee. 2 outs. Here's Marcus Semien.
And he became known as Butley. Butley Hammer.
Semien takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Lee was here for a while. I have a feeling he's probably at home.
Yeah, he's having spaghetti and meatballs.
Either shaking his head on the couch or laughing along with us. Down the right field line. Foul. That's
that's a play.
Had a babe.
Had a bit.
He got the big glove in the family.
Yeah, he did. He got the one that works. Nice play, Clyde Frelick. Let's take a look at your high backhander. Oh yeah, nice.
Had a big.
Had a bit. Whoa, 39.
On the ground to Belt. Belt sees that ball work its way away from him, but he makes the play. And so did Had a big. No score.
Giants baseball on CSN Bay Area is brought to you by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places.
No score as we head to the home half of the 6th inning. It'll be Joe Panik to be facing the new pitcher.
New pitcher for the A's will be the little left-hander, Daniel Coulombe. Coulombe is 5'10", 190-pounder, 27 years of age. Just a little bit shy of a year at the big league level, but last year with Oakland, 47 2/3 inning, he struck out 54. He's got two really good types of breaking balls, curveball and a slider. Knuckle curveball.
Panik takes high. Joe Panik bounced out to first in the 3rd.
This is what Coulombe has done in spring training.
Coulombe picked the right spot. If he likes facing lefties, it'll be 3 left-handers here in the 6th.
Yeah, he likes to try and save that curveball until he gets 2 strikes on you. And it's a good one. It's a acute angle.
On deck, Jarrett Parker and then Denard Span.
And that is the curveball.
Anaya, Axford, and now Coulombe. And he got him. So here's Parker. Parker batting for the first time. You see his numbers this spring. A lot of the damage, the home runs and the RBIs, came in the first half of spring training. A lot of the strikeouts he's had have come in the second half of spring training. So for Parker, it's been the tale of 2 spring trainings. The first half and the second half. And he hits this one into right center field. Raj Davis got a little bit of a late break, but he recovers to make the catch. And that'll bring up Denard Span.
You know, you come to spring training and everybody gets new gloves. Even if you don't use it, you get new gloves. But you can tell the guys who are the type of player that have been wearing the same glove for a long time. And Daniel Coulombe was one of those guys. I bet the glove he's got on is the one that he broke into professional baseball with. It is anything but new.
I bet you're right.
Well, you were one of those guys.
I still have it. It's in my office. You know, I put it on every once in a while. Kind of like an old friend, you know.
Oh yeah. Got mine in my office too.
And a strike to Span. Span has hit a ball well to center that was caught in the first inning, and then he rolled out to Lowry at second in the 4th. Center field for Raj Davis, and Coulombe is going to have a nice 1-2-3 inning. Through 6 here at AT Park, it remains 0-0. Johnny Cueto pitched well. Sean Manaea pitched well. A's with 6 hits, the Giants with 1. And it was Chris Marrero who doubled down the right field line for the only hit for the Giants. Here's Ty Block. And Block throws a strike to Yonder Alonso.
Ty Block had a good spring. And really doing 2 things. I mean, kind of a difficult way to go into spring.
Rap to Joe Panik, and Panik to Bill.
Battling for the 5th spot in the Giants rotation with Matt Cain. And also getting ready, if he did not win the starting role, to be able to perform out of the bullpen.
Yep. Very valuable, those guys.
12 strikeouts against a couple of walks and 20 in the 3rd. See a low 90s fastball, he'll sink and cut. Slider, changeup. And there's the changeup. Now, the very fact that he's in this game as a reliever tonight may give you an indication that maybe the Giants are leaning that, and will announce the next day or 2 that Matt Cain will be in that 5th spot. His last outing in Scottsdale was fantastic. Really threw the ball well.
Yeah, and that 5th spot would mean Friday night in San Diego.
It actually wasn't in Scottsdale. It was in Mesa against the Cubs at Sloan Park. Cain really had a good outing.
Tapped to Block, and Block will underhand it to Bill. Two outs. And maybe a pinch hitter for Jeff Decker.
But, you know, it really is rare that you see a guy that you stretch out and get his arm strong enough to throw 75 to 100 pitches, and then all of a sudden late in spring say, well, okay, you're going to be in the pen. And the thing about Block is, you know, he's not just a prototypical long man should he go in the pen. He also can come into an existing inning and get a hitter or 2 out. Very valuable.
There's a healthy rip by Matt Chapman, the pinch hitter. And he hits it out of play.
But when you get your arm in shape, I mean, it's a different thing to get it in shape as a starter as opposed to getting it in shape as a reliever.
Looking at the picture of the guy on the scoreboard, doesn't look like the guy in the box.
Well, Matt Chapman there with the beard.
It's the same guy? Got him. That'll end the inning.
I'm not feeling it.
Shinashade. Giants are coming up.
Is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLBTV.tv for details. No score as we head to the bottom half of the 7th inning. And Daniel Coulombe going to start his 2nd inning facing Brandon Belt.
And Belt fouls it to the backstop. Belt has hit a fly ball to deep left, and he's rolled out into the shift. And he was thrown out by Lowry.
New left fielder for Oakland, it's J.P. Sportman.
Belt is finding out that if you hit a little ground ball away from the shift, life is good.
That's something he's worked on this spring. I mean, that goes right up there with hit 'em where they ain't. And if they're going to give you a hit to that side of the field, adjusting your swing can pay big dividends.
Take it. Bob Melvin comes out. We got a new pitcher coming in. Giants with their leadoff hitter on here in the 7th. At 1 p.m. we'll have an hour-long pregame live at noon, and you can see it on NBC Sports Bay Area. Expanded hour-long pre- and post-game coverage. And this season, Giants games are now available to stream live on the NBC Sports app. Do you know what the fine is? Have we found out if we accidentally say CSN instead of NBC Sports Bay Area? Is it significant?
50 cents.
Oh, good. I'm not worried then.
It adds up. I figure by All-Star break we're going to be about $1,000 down.
Yep, gone.
Yep.
See you later.
That'll be gone.
A 1-0 pitch to Pence and a strike call. So if Len Casper in Chicago or Jim DeShays is watching, expect a big box. There'll be jackets and shirts coming your way.
Lots of jackets and shirts. And mustard stains and ketchup stains.
All right. It's all part of the personality. As Pence hits a high pop-up foul and out of play. 1-2.
Dan Hendricks, the new pitcher for Oakland. Australian native. That's what he has done this spring training. Fastball, 2 types of movement, curveball, slider. Originally came out of Minnesota. Then went to Toronto, Kansas City, back to Toronto, and then last year to Oakland. Hendricks with a little more than 3 years at the big league level. Built more like a catcher, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds.
And he is.
Short armor. I had problems with short armors. They got on you quick. The arm action almost never equaled the speed of the baseball.
Pence fouls off a nasty pitch to stay alive. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Six hits for the A's, 2 for the Giants.
Well, it represents the first time that the Giants have been able to get the leadoff hitter on that long.
Got him.
All right, time now for a McDonald's True Stories. Buster Posey. And let's take a look at some of the hardware he has in his trophy case. 3-time world champion. Rookie of the Year in 2010. MVP 2012. Won the batting title in 2012. Got his first Gold Glove last year. A WBC title this spring. A 4-time All-Star, and he's got 3 Silver Sluggers. Plus, don't forget the 2008 Golden Spike Award, which represents the College Player of the Year.
And because Buster was going every other game with Jonathan Lucroy in the World Baseball Championship game, it was Lucroy who did the catching for the clincher, and no Buster hug. Out of play.
Yeah, he's got a good swing going right now. It's really interesting how he showed up at camp this year. He just didn't have much of a swing at all the first week. And the first game or so into the WBC, he found it. And boy, you could just see the bat speed and the bat head control just overnight blossomed.
Belt goes. Line drive to left. Belt is going to head to third. Buster Posey strokes one into left field. And an RBI opportunity for Brandon Crawford.
Take a look at the location. They set up in the outside corner. It's right to the glove. A little elevation. And Posey keeps the hands back and barrels it, hooks it into left field.
Crawford is struck out and he's popped out. Belt at third, Posey at first, here in the 7th. And now timeout is called by vote. Crawford with a swing. Going to pitch up and in. No balls and 1 strike.
Connor Gillespie coming out on deck.
That is the pitcher spot on deck. Crawford high and foul, and it's now 0-2. A's had a runner at third with less than 2 outs, and that happened in the 6th inning. And Guerin struck out Lowry and got Simeon on a ground ball. So Giants in a similar spot here in the 7th. Foul back. Crawford stays alive.
You know, it's odd is watching spring training baseball. For the most part, you don't get a velocity reading on the baseball.
That's true.
It's just such a part of the game that it's weird that it has never been used very much in spring training. fans are getting a little testy.
Well, with all the different rules, that's still allowed, right?
Yeah, you could definitely go out there with a couple other guys and stand on the mound and talk into your glove. That rule has not changed.
0-2. Blocked. 1-2. So Gillespie's on deck. No score here in the bottom of the 7th. And a base hit, and the Giants are on the board. It's 1-0. So Crawford, after falling behind 0-2, comes up with a nice at bat.
Got a mistake up. And what is the easiest place to defend is between your belt, your letters. Smothers it right back up the middle. Nice control of the bat head. Throws it right back up the middle. Giants take the lead.
Connor Gillespie steps up. Overshift is on for Gillespie as he fouls it out of play. Remember, this inning started out with a base hit by Brandon Belt away from the shift. A little ground ball at the shortstop position where nobody was there. Dirt. Nice job by Vogt. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Frankie Montas, the right-hander, starting to get heated up. George Cantos, he's been getting loose. He will pitch the top of the 8th.
Out of play. So you had a nice visit with your old teammate Bob Melvin before the game.
Had a chance to get over and say hello. Melvin looks good.
He's done a really nice job.
He's a good teacher. I mean, I think that's one of the things that everywhere he's gone, with the players that he has been in charge of, I mean, he's taught baseball, good baseball.
Looks, I mean, we know him, but if you look at him, he looks very serious. You know, the one kid in class that is always serious. And I'm asking you, because you were teammates, was he like that as a player?
Oh, well, he had a fun side to him. He's got a good sense of humor. He's a quick read. I mean, he goes into a room and he figures that room out immediately. But he was fun to tease, too, because you could get under his skin a little bit.
He could get the vein in the neck going a little bit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, he of course was one of Bob Brenly's coaches in Arizona when your old teammate, my old teammate as well, managed the D-backs.
Well, we as pitchers were really spoiled with Brindley and Melvin. I mean, they're just great receivers, called great games.
Gillespie digs one out and he's got a base hit. And they're going to hold.
Posey. Spring training game, not going to test the arm of Matt Joyce.
So Kelby Tomlinson's going to pinch run for Buster Posey.
Phil Nevin, who's going to be the new third base coach for the Giants this year. Good ad. Good baseball, man.
Here's Nunez. Nunez has bounced out twice. One ball and no strikes. Giants with only one hit through 6 innings, and they've had 4 singles here in the 7th.
But just to finish that discussion about Melvin and Brindley, I mean, it's not a surprise to any of us that were around him until both those guys wound up being big league managers and good ones.
This little pop-up is in shallow center field, and it's going to fall. And everybody moves up one base, and it's 2-0. Well, Nunez with a little bloop. And speaking of Bob Melvin, he's coming out. Well, the Giants have scored twice here in the 7th. And Joe Panik's going to face a new pitcher. We'll be back. Attitude, baby.
Yeah, he's got some attitude working.
He has got it.
New pitcher now for Oakland. The right-hander Frankie Montas. This is what he has done in 5 games. He's had a good spring. 11 strikeouts against a couple of walks in 10 innings. He is in the mix, so chance for us to take a look at strong right-hander. Montas 6'2", 260. Certain guys that get out there on the mound, you just go, I don't know how I'm going to charge this guy. He might be one of those guys you kind of hold back on.
And Panik takes a strike.
Got a little less than a year at the big league level. Originally came up with the Red Sox organization, got to the big leagues with the White Sox in 2015.
And there's a high fastball.
The A's got Montas from the Dodgers last year with Gerald Cotton and Grant Holmes for Rich Hill and Josh Reddick.
Lifted out to left. Crawford goes back to tag. He's going to come in to score. It's 3-0.
And a nice at bat.
A sacrifice fly. Joe Panik.
Watch Crawford gauge this fly ball, get in the set position, just like you're running a race at the track meet. Push off the bag, an easy score.
Parker steps up with 2 outs, 3 in, 2 on. And Parker looks at a strike, and it's 0-1. Hits are now even at 6. Parker's biggest game as a big leaguer came against the A's in Oakland a couple of years ago when he hit 3 home runs in 1 game.
Well, and you know what is amazing? I'll never forget that day because you knew he was going to do it. I mean, he got in that batter's box. The guy was so dialed. And there was an aura around this guy when he got in that batter's box. You felt it.
High, 1-2.
I mean, you had those times where you're standing in the on-deck circle waiting to hit. You knew you were going to get a hit.
Yes, absolutely. Never had any thoughts of knew I was going to hit one out of the park, but getting a hit, yeah. And that'll end the inning. Giants on the board 3 times. 5 singles. 8th inning coming up. And here it is, starting on opening day. You'll be able to stream every CSN broadcast on your desktop or mobile device. Giants game stream on the go on NBC Sports app or on csnbayarea.com. Many changes for the Giants. Well, actually, all the changes are on the infield. With George Cantos on the hill. Rounding out the infield, Gillespie's at third. Tomlinson's at short. Hill is at second. And Wong is at first with Hundley doing the catching. 3-0 Giants. Outfield remains the same. Parker, Span, and Pence. Here's Raj Davis and a big swing and a miss, and it's 0-1. Davis has been on base twice. He's had a single and a double. He also was picked off in the 3rd inning by Johnny Cueto. Nice pitch, 0-2.
George Cantos, a 4-year veteran at the big league level. 31 years of age. This is his spring training. 15 strikeouts in 10 innings, just 9 base runners allowed.
And on 3 pitches. Let's check in with Amy G.
All right, gentlemen, just an update on reliever Will Smith, who will miss the entire 2017 season because he had to have Tommy John surgery. He just had the surgery. Everything was successful. Happy to report that he is resting in Arizona. And skipper Bruce Bochy said today, guys, if all goes to plan, they are expecting Will Smith to be back in action May 2018. Guys?
Well, for Will Smith, that's not going to come soon enough. It is a tough road, but it's a road a lot of guys have traveled on, and they've all come back and been very successful. Some guys have even had to come back twice.
It is so hard to think that you are going to lose a whole season. It's tough.
Franchise takes a strike to even the count.
And for the next year, your best friend is going to be your trainer.
Two balls and a strike. On deck.
Those are
Ryan Healy.
Those are the guys that really are the unsung heroes of this game, the trainers. And they oftentimes can determine the outcome of a team's success or failure. Yep. Giants head trainer Dave Greshner, fantastic job. Anthony Reyes, Eric Ortega. And right now they are the most important people in the life of Will Smith as he starts his journey back.
Swing and a miss.
Well, a quick breaking ball, it can be an effective pitch even if it's up there in the strike zone. A 3-2 count. I mean, you're not thinking corner pitch. You don't want to strike. You don't want to walk the guy. And a swing through, see ya on a hanger.
Here's Ryan Healy, been on base twice, a single, and he reached on a Brandon Crawford throwing error and a tough play. And he looks at a strike, and it's 0-1. When Cantos gets in a good rhythm, he is nasty.
Well, nasty with 4 pitches. 5 different types of movement.
Nothing in 2.
But he's got a slider that just does not really have a spin that tips the pitch early. I mean, it's not a true no-dot slider like we saw with Sergio Romo over the years. But it's a deceptive pitch. And it's got straight down snap.
One and 2. Buster Posey out of the ball game, but he'll watch.
Couple old catchers right there. I can call Buster old. He's 30 years old.
And Cantos strikes out the side.
How old's Billy Hayes?
Yeah. That's one way to look young. Just stand next to Billy Hayes. scoring all 3 runs in the 7th inning. And they will have the top of the order coming up here in the 8th. Aaron Hill to follow. And then Jay Wong after that. Span 0 for 3. And Span off the end of the bat, and he's got a base hit. So Span with a single. And here's Aaron Hill. And if you hear the noise in the background, a fan has come out onto the field. And he would be wise to surrender, and he's not doing so.
Well, he just made a decision that he would rather spend the rest of this night in jail than in the bleachers.
And the fan corralled eventually, as they always are. And all it does is it just disrupts the game. You got a nice flow going, and you get one knucklehead that ruins it for everybody.
Well, and the policy here is it has never changed. They prosecute. And this guy is going to have a rough couple of days, legally. So you just have to ask yourself, was it worth it? Meanwhile, Mark Melancon getting ready to throw his first inning here at AT&T with a Giants uniform on.
Of course, it doesn't always help the pace of the game when they corral the guy out in Triples Alley. And then they got to do the death walk down the left field line through the gate by the foul pole.
Yeah.
Just be happy that you didn't do it in Chicago in the 60s and 70s, because you'd end up on the missing persons list.
Or Philadelphia.
Has anybody seen old Joe? No, he ran on the field and nobody could find him. So Gorkis Hernandez is now running for Span. And here's Aaron Hill. And Hill looks at a strike. Aaron Hill, who will likely make this team. Hernandez leaning at first. He does not go, and Hill takes low. Hunter Pence to follow. We're in the 8th. 39,380 here tonight. Swing and a miss. 1-2. It's the Aaron Hill I remember facing the Giants. Yeah, at around 9:30, you break out the popcorn.
Oh yeah, that's not her first bag of popcorn.
Well, how it happens in our house.
Well, we don't share at our house.
Hill hits a high fly ball to left. It's in the park. As Sportman puts it away.
Popcorn, sacred stuff.
They got it covered. Pence takes low. You know, it's a hot dog tastes much different when you're at the ballpark, right?
Oh, yeah.
Popcorn the same way at the movie theater.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Can't watch a movie without popcorn. Can't watch a ball game without a hot dog. We had one for dinner tonight.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. It's kind of interesting though when you go to the movies and the small popcorn is $7 1/4. The medium is $7.35, and the large is $7.50.
Yeah. It's like, which one you going to get?
Pence is going to beat this out. So Hunter Pence with an infield hit, and that'll bring up Kelby Tomlinson.
If this got over the head of Montas, it was going to be no chance. The ball hits off a home plate. High hopper. And really, with Hunter Pence's speed, if you're a shortstop, you just start looking at the lead bag. Maybe you get somebody falling asleep on the base pass because you have no play at first.
1 out. Tomlinson batting for the first time. Here's the AT&T version of fresh popcorn.
I want to get that. I want to get that. I want to get that.
Absolutely. Tomlinson takes a ball. 1 ball and no strikes.
Tomlinson's numbers in 22 games.
Nice flat swing by Tomlinson as he fouls it back.
He's a tough out. I think he's as good as anybody in this Giants team with 2 strikes. Compact hitter, uses the whole field, got great speed.
On the ground to third, right there is Healy, and his throw is offline. So Tomlinson beats it out. That'll put runners at first and second with 2 outs. It'll be Hundley. Hundley batting for the first time. He's had a pretty good spring. He and the other catcher in camp, Fedorovich, had a good spring.
He did.
And a first pitch strike, and it's 0-1.
It's a good slider. Giants fans are going to like Nick Hundley a lot.
Another strike.
You know, we mention this too every time we've been on TV about the relationship between Nick Hundley and Mark Melancon, who were teammates at University of Arizona. Good friends, and have been their whole professional career. But really enjoying the chance that they're going to play with each other this year, a full season.
Hundley takes high.
Couple of Wildcats.
One-two pitch to Hundley. It's high. Hundley took it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tomorrow, Jeff Samardzija. Joel Cotton will be on the hill for the A's. That game will be here. Same time. It'll be on NBC Bay Area. John and Michael do the honors. I'll head over to the KNBR side with Dave Fleming. 3-2, and then the Sunday game be on KNBR. John and Dave will do that one. Glenn and Ray will have that one for you on the A's. SFN California, which is, I'm certain, going to have to throw away their jackets and shirts too.
Yep, throw them in the box.
Headed to Chicago. The reason we say Chicago, they're not changing their logo. Hand-me-downs coming. Here's the 3-2 to Hundley. Runners go, and it's rolled foul the opposite way.
Pickett, Clyde. Had a bit. There's Gary Frelick. Hasn't had much action down the left field line tonight.
He doesn't look really that happy about it either.
That's a, I haven't gotten to play yet tonight game face.
That's true. 3-2 pitch. Runners go. Swing. Gonna miss. And that'll end the inning. So Melanson's coming in. And okay, yeah, we're gonna share. Not at our house. 3-0 Giants. And the Giants are on top 3-0. And Mark Melancon will come on to try to get the last 3 outs.
Well, Mark Melancon. Take a look at what he has done in spring training. All he's done has been perfect. 7 base runners in 9 innings and 6 strikeouts against 3 walks. Melancon, a little over 6 years of big league experience. Going to see a low 90s fastball. A lot of cutters, good breaking ball. It's just a straight down biter. And very efficient strike thrower. Throws the ball on the ground a lot. And he does it really with the breaking ball. That's in his repertoire of pitching. I mean, he can sink the ball, but he gets a lot of ground balls off the break of that breaking ball. Doesn't really give you too many things that are straight. The cutter is really a good weapon of his. 3-time All-Star, all with the Pirates in 2013, 15, and 16. Won the Trevor Hoffman Award in the National League for Reliever of the Year in 2015.
So here's Vogt, and he swings and pops this one foul and out of play. There's Ortiz Hernandez, who's now in center field. Parker, Hernandez, and Pence in the outfield. Gillespie, Tomlinson, Hill, and Wong from third to first. Hundley doing the catching. 3-0 in favor of the Giants here in the ninth. The pitch, 0-2.
That's the other thing, too, about Melancon. I mean, he's really got outstanding corner command.
Got him.
Backdoored him with a little cutter right at the knees. A nice little frame job from Nick Hundley. Set up in the outside corner. Bang. The glove didn't move. That's a generous call.
Yeah, in a call that I'm assuming you would have wanted when you were on the hill.
Oh, are you kidding? Not a pitcher that ever told that slab out there didn't want that pitch. Not a hitter that ever agreed that it was a strike. And that's the curveball. Straight down snap. Rare to see him throw a breaking ball that misses high.
Lowry waits and a foul back. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
It's a good swing. Lowry's got 2 hits on the night. And he was on that fastball on a 1-0 count.
One and two.
Now the saves leader since 2014, and it would be Mark Melancon on top with 131. Jansen, Rodriguez, Britton, and Kimbrell round out the top 5 around baseball. As we mentioned, 51 saves in 2015, won him the Trevor Hoffman Award. That's a lot of saves.
That's a lot of saves. Marcus Semien on deck. Up and in. 3-2.
Take a look at the motion and watch how high his arm is. I mean, that is right over the top, and that explains the break in his breaking ball. The higher you go with your arm slot, the flatter your cut is.
Look out.
And for Melancon, I mean, it has been a really good weapon, that cut fastball, to get in tight to left-handed hitters. Very compact, right over the top, hides it well. You do not see the ball early against Melancon.
Got him. First Lowry to swing at a pitch in the dirt. 2 outs. And here's Semien.
The other thing too about Melancon is his efficiency. I mean, he gets it done. And he doesn't use a lot of pitches normally.
Melancon to Marcus Semien, and there's a call strike. I'll go back to what F.P. Santangelo said about Melancon when Melancon went over to the Nationals last year, and F.P. said, well, the 9th inning with Melancon is just boring. Well, I don't remember last year ever being boring.
No. No.
I mean, boring doesn't sound like it would be a word that you would consider a good word. It's a good word in the 9th.
It sounds like fun.
And tight to Semien.
But it does speak about the efficiency of Melanson. And too often with the Giants, they were on the wrong side of it. He wasn't wearing their uniform. So high expectations, obviously, for Melanson. And he has them himself.
3-1. Two more games after this one for Bruce Bochy and his team. The same for Bob Melvin and his team. And that's popped up and out of play, 3-2. Three balls, 2 strikes. On the ground, foul in the breaking ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. It talks about the confidence he has with that breaking ball. The more acute the break on a curveball, the harder it is to control it. Ideally, that pitch is when you want to throw it, your head 0-2, 1-2, but he has the confidence and the ability to throw it like you just saw on a 3-2 count. And aren't many guys like him that can do that.
Fouled again. They'll do it again. If Simeon reaches, it'll be Yonder Alonso who's on deck. Giants did not have a hit in this game until Chris Marrero doubled with 2 outs in the 5th. On the ground to Tomlinson. That's the ball game. So Melanson comes in and gets the last 3 outs of this game, and the Giants win this one by a final of 3-0. Your thoughts?
Well, Johnny Cueto's ready for the season. He went 5 efficient innings, struck out a couple, didn't allow any runs on 6 hits. But the bullpen tonight, the last 4 innings was 7 strikeouts. They were fantastic. Timely hitting. Giants played a very, very clean game.
All right, final score. The Giants beat the A's 3-0. Tune in to NBC Bay Area tomorrow at 7 for Game 2 of this Babe Ruth series. And then on Saturday at noon, the Giants and the A's meet on CSN California. Coming up next, Sportsnet Central for Amy G. For Mike Krukow, I'm Dwayne Kuiper. Hey, thanks for joining us. And as always, have a good night, everybody.